Okay, so the topic we are going to talk about is active record association. So these are the set of topics we are going to cover. So what is and why use associations? Association represent relationship between database tables and also the relationships in your Rails classes, Ruby classes, are supposed to be represented into the tables, right? So these relationships are typically constructed through foreign keys or join table in database. Example is a customer has many orders, or order belongs to a customer. So customer has many orders and order belongs to a customer. So in this case, order table should have a foreign key column to a customer table, customers table. So there are customers table and orders table should have a foreign key to the customers table. Okay, in terms of relationship, there are three different types of relationship. From cardinality standpoint, one-to-one. Example is a person has a single primary address, and one-to-many. A school has many students, or a customer has many orders. And many-to-many, a course has many students, and each student can take many courses. So how do you specify associations in Rails? It's very, very simple. You are going to use this very simple macro like class methods in a model. So suppose I have a project model class, and if this project belongs to a portfolio model class, then you say belongs to portfolio. If project class has one-to-one relationship with a project manager, then you're going to say has one project manager. If project has a one-to-many relationship with, in this case, milestones, then you are going to say has many milestones. If project has many-to-many relationship with category class, then you are going to use has and belongs to many. Okay, so once you actually use these macros, okay, underneath, well, I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Underneath it will actually create a bunch of methods for you. Okay, that's what I meant to say. Anyway, before we talk about it, why use Rails association? So you can build your application without using these association macros. In that case, you have to do a lot of your own work, a lot more the manual work. So this is an example where you have to do a little bit more work. It's not a little bit, it could be a lot more. So adding a new order for existing customers. So, you have to create the order object, specifying order date, and then you have to specify customer ID with a particular customer ID. Okay. Now, when you delete a customer and his or her orders, you have to actually delete all the orders first, and then you are going to destroy customer, which means these are the things that you have to do yourself. And so in fact this red colored things is something you have to do if you're not using association. Okay, so adding a new order might not be a big deal, but deleting a customer and his and her orders is that you have to get all the orders of that customer by providing customer ID, and then you have to perform destroy of each of those order for that customer, and then you can destroy a customer. So this is extra work that you have to do if you're not using Rails association. Now, if you use association, then things is going to be a lot simpler. So this is the way that you are going to use Rails association. So here, class customer has many orders, meaning class and the customer and order has one-to-many relationship, has many orders. And then you specify dependent destroy. What it means is that whenever customer gets destroyed, all the orders that belong to this customer will be automatically destroyed. Okay, and you can also say order belongs to customer. Okay, so by having this one, now you can actually go from order to customer. So by having belongs to, you are providing bidirectional access. Okay, so here, in order to create a brand new user, in order to add a new order to a customer, basically all you have to do is add customer, then you get all orders, and then you call create. Okay, very simple. In terms of delete a customer and his or her owners, all you have to do is just delete the customer, and then his or her orders will be automatically destroyed. So if you compare these two lines of code against this one, you can think of it as a single line if you want to, but extra, the things you have to take care of, and this is in fact the extra code that you have to write, okay, compared to this. It's not just the destroy, but there are a lot more methods that are being automatically created, and that's something we're going to actually look into in a few seconds. Okay, so this is what I meant to say. Auto-generated methods. Whenever you have a macro like this, has many or belongs to, the methods are automatically generated for your model class. Okay, so each macro adds a number of methods to active record model class. And these added methods are specialized according to the collection or association symbol and options hash. And these added methods ease the traversal and manipulation of your relationships. So so I think there was a question in terms of how do you use like a find with a joining relationship. You don't have to actually have a complex, you don't have to build complex relationship using join. You can just access those things using these automatically generated methods. So let's take a look at examples of those automatically generated methods. So suppose order belongs to customer, then this method, customer method, and this is actually the setter method, right? So basically this is the setter method and nil. These are examples of automatically added methods by Rails framework for order class. So from the order you can go to customer, and you can set the customer with a particular customer object, and you can check whether customer is nil or not, and things like that. Has one relationship. So suppose project has one project manager, and then again you can actually go to project manager from the project. You can assign the project manager to project manager property, and you can check whether project manager is nil or not. Okay, so one-to-one is probably not much a big deal, but has many has a lot more methods. So here, suppose project has many milestones, and then these are the methods that are automatically added for you to your project model class. So for example, you can see whether milestones is empty or not. You can find out how many milestones are there for this particular project. You can get all milestones, and you can add new milestone to the existing milestones, right? You can delete, you can find, okay? You're using milestone ID, and here you're using options, and you can actually build and create. So the build is actually for building it, but it doesn't save it yet. The create is actually build and save it. Okay, so this is many-to-many relationships. So project has many categories, and category has many projects. So you can also use category.empty or category size categories, and you can add, delete, and things like that. So these are all automatically added methods that you can use right away. Okay, so how to implement Rails association? So you have you have to do two things. First, you have to set up association between models using these association macros, belongs to or has many and all that stuff. This is the has and belongs to many. So you have to do this, okay? That's something we have seen already. Now, the second thing you have to do is that if you are using, for example, a foreign key column, you have to create a migration file to create foreign key column, and then perform migration to add that foreign key column to that table. This is something you have to do. Okay, and if you're using join table, the join table might have to be created by yourself. Okay, all right, so you can actually take a look at that later on. That's for many-to-many relationship. Okay, so in exercise 1 and 2, we are going to actually look into one-to-many and so we're going to actually look into one-to-many. One-to-one is not that much exciting, relationship, so there is nothing much to look into it. So the most common relationship is one-to-many. So we're going to actually take a look at very simple one-to-many case, and then we are going to have one-to-many case using scaffolding. So let's take a look at the exercise 1. All right, so create a simple application. I'm going to just explain the code rather than doing it myself, just to save time. So I'm going to create association app here. And then I'm going to create two models. One is customer, which has a name field, and then I have an order model, okay, which has another single the field called the order date. Okay, so we have created the customer and order, a model class, but we haven't set up any relationship yet, right? So we are going to actually first of all create these tables using migration, rake db migrate. Okay, now we are going to set up the association between customer and order models. So here customer has many orders, so we're going to say has many orders and dependent destroy, meaning when customer object gets destroyed, we want all the orders object for that customer also get destroyed. Okay, so we're going to add this relationship to customer model class. Okay, and in order the model class, we're going to provide it belongs to. So order belongs to customer. Okay. Okay, now we are going to create a migration file for creating a foreign key column to orders table. Okay, so we are going to say Rails generate migration add customer reference to orders. Okay, and it will create a migration file, and here we have to add the logic of migration. So we are basically adding column name, add the column orders table. The column name is customer ID, and the value is going to be, the type is integer. Okay, so we add this logic to the migration file that was just created, and then we are going to perform migration to add that foreign key column to the orders table. So we say rake db migrate. Okay, and you can certainly verify that the orders table now has custom ID from the SQL browser, SQL database browser. Okay, so it should have custom ID. Okay, now we are going to create some initial records in the sys.lb file for testing purpose. So here we are going to create 3 customers. So customer 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and we also created the 3 orders. Order 1, 1, 1, and 1, 2, and 2, 1. Okay, so I named it in a way that this belongs to customer 1. This also belongs to customer 1. So the first, this is actually representing customer, and this is the number of order for that customer. And this is the first order of the customer number 2. And we are going to set up we are going to add these 2 orders, okay, order 11 and order 12 to orders of customer 1. Okay, and then customer 2 has a single order, order 21. Okay, so this is a sys.lb file, which actually provides us testing data. Okay. All right, and then we're going to call rake db seed to actually run that code to create those create that test data. Okay. All right, now what we are going to do is, we actually check whether customer table in fact has customer table is 1 to 3. And then orders, you can see customer ID is set 112. This is just to verify, the things are in tables are in fact created, populated correctly. All right, now we're going to actually use the Rails console to actually play around. So Rails console, and again, you can actually turn off the SQL login. And if you take a look at all the customers, we should see 3 customers, right? Okay. Now, if you take a look at all orders, we also see 3 orders. Okay. Now, this is how we are going to access the first customer's all orders. So if you are going to say customer.first.orders. So basically, give me all the orders of the first customer. Okay. This one is give me the first order of the first customer, right? And this one is for order date of the first order of the first customer. Okay, so you're basically adding this order date to this guy. And this one is get the customer ID of the first order of the first customer. Okay, and this one is get the name and customer of the customer of the first order of the first customer. Okay. I mean, I would not do this in real application. It's just to show this chaining things work. Okay. All right. So that is actually from the customer. Now we are going to actually, access from order. So order that first customer, order that first customer, the name. So basically, things work as expected. You can add new orders. So here we are going to add new orders to a customer. So let's actually get the order count of the first customer. So there are only 2 orders for the first customer. Okay, and we are going to create the brand new order for the first customer. Okay, so customer that first orders and create. Okay, now if you see the count, if you actually display the count, we should actually see 3. Okay, and you can also create an order, and then you can just append it, and again it should return 4. Okay, and you can obviously check the database table to see that was also created. Okay, so we should have 4 orders that belong to customer 1. Okay, find and delete an order from the customer. So you can find the 4th order, and we can assign it into the customer 4, and then we can actually delete it, and then we can count it, and then it should be 3. And customer first destroy. Now if I delete the first customer, and then all the orders supposed to be deleted as well. Okay, so now if I actually display all the orders, there should be only 1 order left. That's for the second customer, right? Okay, all right. So I'm going to give you guys about the I'm going to just give you just 5 minutes so that we can just continue. I want to actually finish up the recording before 4:30. So I'm hoping you guys can actually do the exercise on your own after the code camp. Okay, but so I'm going to just give you 5 minutes just to get you a sense of how things work. Okay. Okay, so cardinality. So we have already seen examples of one-to-many, but let's take a look at one-to-one cardinality one more time. So this one has one on the base and belongs to in the associate model. So belongs to association is always used in the model that has a foreign key. So employee has a single office, and the office belongs to employee. So in this case, office table is the one that has a foreign key field. Okay. So let me just explain exercise 1. Okay, so we are going to, basically the association app, same app, and we are going to take a look at all possible rig tasks, create the database, load the schema, and everything. So we're going to actually start initial. So basically, we want to actually start from scratch. That's basically what we are going to do. So DB setup. Okay. So now we are starting with initial data. Okay, and then we are going to create address model through the generator. So Rails generate model address, and the address has street and zip fields. And we are going to perform migration to, yes, I think it looks like a DB migrate is missing. Let me just write that down. So we're going to perform migration to the address table. You're basically creating address table, and now we're going to actually have one-to-one association between customer and address model. So address belongs to, so address is the one that should have a foreign key, right? And then customer has one address. So right now customer has one-to-many relationship to order. class and one-to-one relationship with the address. Now we have to add a foreign key column to the address sys table, right? Okay, through migration, right? So we are going to generate the migration. So Rails generate migration and add customer reference to addresses. Okay, so we are going to add this line, add column addresses, and the foreign key column name is going to be customer ID, and value type is going to be integer. And then we're going to perform migration so that this column is now added to the addresses table. Okay, so now we should see customer ID foreign key column. And we're going to actually perform some operations. Rails console, we're going to actually disable the logging. And if you see all the customers, we still have to see 3 customers because we perform DB reset. So everything is actually started from scratch. So now we are going to create an address, and then we are going to add that address to the first customer. And then we're going to create another address, and then set the address of the last customer. Okay, and then we can see address all. It should actually display 2, right? And then we can actually go to again first address and customer. So get the customer of the first address, and find the second address and get the customer of that address, and things like that. Okay. Now, if you destroy the first customer, then all addresses are still there because the customer does not have the dependency destroy relationship with the address. So if you take a look at the customer, we have not specified. So if you go to the customer case, so in this case, we haven't said dependency destroy. Okay, so that's the reason even if you delete the customer, the address is still there. Right? So if you want the address to be destroyed along with the customer, then you have to set dependent destroy, as you have done with with the orders. Okay, so that is basically what we are talking about here. So now we are going to add destroy, and then we are going to, in this case, when the customer is destroyed, addresses will be destroyed. So in fact, the addresses you can see from 3, and you can see the address is deleted to 2. Okay. All right. So that's one-to-one. So we have covered one-to-many and one-to-one. The last one is many-to-many relationship. So let me just finish up the presentation, and we are going to call it a day. Okay, so yeah, so I think we already talked about one-to-many cardinality. So this is just an example of manager employees and employee to manager, and so this is the many-to-many cardinality. So many-to-many cardinality can be represented in 2 different ways. Option 1, you can use has and belongs to many in both models. So this will require join table that has no corresponding model or primary key. Okay, so the only goal, the only purpose of having this join model is join table is basically, connecting these 2 different tables. Okay. Option 2 is that you can actually use the has many association with the through option and the join model and corresponding join tables. In this case, you are going to in fact have a join model. This is a genuine model. And it does have its own join table as well. So there are 2, so in this case, there are 2 stages of association. So let's take a look at the example. So this is the option 1. So in this case, we have post and category. So, we are dealing with a many-to-many relationship between post and category model. So in this case, you can say post has and belongs to many categories. Okay. And then category has the same deal, has and belongs to many, in this case, post. Okay, so in this case, the join table will be created. Okay, and so join table has to be created. Okay, through migration. Okay, but there is no corresponding model required. So here, through the migration, we are going to create a table called the categories and post. Okay, and this guy doesn't have to have a primary key, so you can say ID false, and then the field is going to be post ID and category ID. Okay, so this is the migration file that you have to create in order to create a join table yourself. Okay. All right, so that is the many-to-many relationship using has and belongs to many case. Let me actually finish up the presentation, and then I'm going to explain the hands-on lab exercise. So exercise 4 is actually using this first option. Okay. Now, option 2 is you are actually creating a genuine model here. So you are going to create the join model. So we are going to call it assignment. This is the genuine model. So it's actually extension of the active record base. And here we are going to say belongs to programmer and belongs to project. Okay. And now, if you take a look at the programmer and project class, it has many assignments. So now it has a one-to-many relationship with this guy, okay? And has many projects. And then you're going to say through assignment, okay? Same deal with a project. So if you think about the difference between option 1 and option 2, both use join table. However, in option 2, you also have join model, okay? So which one to use? So if you need to work with a relationship model, like a join model in model 2 as its own entity, then you want to use the option 2. For example, assignment table in the previous slide can have a due date field. So suppose, if you want to have if you want to maintain the due date or assignment date, that kind of information could be actually useful, right? If you have to maintain that kind of information, meaning when the project is assigned to a particular programmer, that kind of thing needs to be actually maintained in its own right, then you have to have those things as part of the attribute in the assignment table, okay? So, if you actually have to maintain that kind of information in your application, then you have to use the option 2. Otherwise, you can just use the option 1, okay? So this is possible only in option 2 since there is a join model class. Okay, so you want to use option 1, has and belongs to many, when working with a legacy schema or when you never work directly with the relationship itself, meaning you don't have to have this assigned model to be used in your application. Okay. All right. So that's exercise 5. So let me just explain exercise 4 and 5. Okay, so here we are going to start from scratch again, right? And so we are going to create company model which has a name and location, and then we perform migration so that we create the companies table. Okay, now we are going to set up the many-to-many relationship between customer and company using option 1. So option 1, we are going to say has and belongs to many companies. And for companies, the same deal. But this time, it's going to be customers. Okay. All right. Now, we have to create still the join table. So we have to create the migration file. So Rails generate migration and create companies to customers join table. Okay. So we have to actually modify this join table to have these 2 fields. Basically the first field is the customer's primary key. The next one is the company's primary key. Okay. And so you can use change or you can use up and down. Okay. All right. And save all these changes, and then you perform migration so that you are creating this company. You are creating this join table. Okay. So basically you are creating this companies and customers table. Okay. All right, now you can take a look at that table that has been created with the customer ID and company ID as fields. Okay. And now we're going to actually perform here we're going to actually create another migration file for adding test data. Okay, so we're going to create another migration file, and we are going to add some test data. So first we are going to create 3 companies. And then we're going to add these companies to the first customers. The first customer has 2 companies, and the last customer has a single company. And you also add, the customers have. Okay, so in this case, customer first, company. Yeah. So now we're actually adding the bidirectional relationship. So company 1 has customers of first. and company 1 has the customer 1 and the last. Okay, so we actually set up the relationship, many-to-many relationship in the test code. Okay. All right, so now we perform migration. So we are going to we basically see this company's customers join table now has these two values set. Okay, so we created the join table. Okay, and then we can just perform some user operations. So here you can get to display all customer IDs of the first company, customer.first customer IDs, and to display all customer IDs of the last company, or this one to display names of all customers of the first company. Okay, so basically, this is what you can do. Company IDs. So you can go either directions, right? Okay, so that's basically what this is all about. Exercise 5 is pretty much the same deal, but this time we are using option number 2. Okay, so we are going to actually set the database table starting from scratch. And now we are going to add shipping model. So we're going to actually have a many-to-many relationship between customer and shipping. Okay, so one customer can ship many places, and shipping could actually serve many customers, kind of things. Okay, so now we are going to perform migration so that we have a shippings table. Okay, shippings table. Now we are going to generate join. We have to actually generate join model. So we have to say Rails generate. Now you can say model. We're going to call it as my join, and it has customer ID field, shopping ID field, and another information you want to maintain is in fact a shipping date for that particular customer. So this is important information that I want to maintain in our table. Okay, and this shipping date could be only relevant when the customer and shipping dates are provided, right? Okay, so in this case, we are going to have customer ID and shipping ID and shipping date. So basically when shipping is done for this particular customer. So this is extra information that we like to maintain in our application. Okay, so good example why we will have to use the option 2. Now we're going to actually perform migration so that we create the my joins table. Okay, so my joins table has been created. Okay, and then we're going to add the has many relationship to both customer and shipping. Has many my joins, has many shippings through my joins. Okay, same deal here. And my join should belongs to customer and belongs to shipping. Okay, so these are you have to actually change 3 model classes in option number 2. And then pretty much everything works exactly the same as far as the examples are concerned. Okay, and of course you can certainly perform some kind of query operation against the shipping date, right, for this particular and this customer. Okay, so that is the difference. Let me actually finish up the presentation and then we'll call it a day. Eager loading association. So I assume many of you have heard N+1 query problem. Okay, so this is not just the Rails. Any database related application could have this problem. Okay, so consider this code which finds 10 clients and prints their postcode. So basically we are getting the clients, let's say we have 10 clients, and then we want to get the postcode of this client, and this postcode is actually from the address table. Okay, so we're actually basically going to address and then postcode. In this case, it will actually perform the 11 query operation. There will be in fact 11 SQL operations to the database, which is very inefficient. So this is the infamous N+1 query problem. Okay, or select problem. Okay, so the solution to N+1 query or select problem is basically providing eager loading association. So the way that you can do is include. Okay, so when you do this, it will actually perform just 2 queries as opposed to 11 queries. Okay, so that's basically what it does. Okay, Alright, so I don't have an exercise for that particular eagle loading exercise, so that is going to be end of it. So again, I apologize that I kind of rushed a little bit. Okay, so let